Hello, guys. Hello from my studio. I'm Gwen Lilly. Welcome to week 2 of Living the Artist's Way, my 12-week video journal working on Julia Cameron's The Artist Way program. So I'm going to recap you on what I learned in this second week. I'm at almost 3 now. I'm at 20 days without fail of working this program. And it's been really, I would say week 2 is really fun. Week 2 is really fun. So what week 2 is all about is recovering a sense of identity. So that's what she's titled it here. She writes, this week addresses self-definition as a major component of creative recovery. You may find yourself drawing new boundaries and staking out new territories as your personal needs, desires, and interests announce themselves. These tasks are aimed at moving you into your personal identity, a self-defined you. And I wrote, fuck yeah here. Fuck yeah. Okay, and that's kind of exactly what happened. It's interesting that she mentions in this description of week 2 boundaries, because I'm not sure that I set the intention of establishing more boundaries, but I will say that where I'm at in life right now and my goals, my aspirations, more than ever require me to establish boundaries because I need to be mindful of my bandwidth. I've never been more busy, not with frivolous social stuff. Maybe that's not the word frivolous, okay? Maybe not with hedonistic, self-indulgent social stuff as my life has been filled with in the past, but more with intentional expenditures of energy, more with the projects that I'm working on, this being one of them, sharing my voice, that burning desire, getting ready for performance and going on tour and meeting more in real life in an increasingly AI world, right? Those goals. So looking ahead to that, working on my EP. I'm here in my music studio after all. How cool is this tracking, by the way? I've got a still camera that's doing this. So all of those goals requiring more time. I want to learn guitar and I want to step into being the greatest vocalist I can, which also requires devotion to the craft, showing up and working on my vocals every day, which I have not been doing. So boundaries are essential. And so boundaries have been implemented more to accommodate these projects I'm working on, this being one of them. So yeah, boundaries, discernment, that's great. Those things are going great. All right. So week 2 brought that to me. Also, doing these tasks early on in the week helped me to set some intentions that I was able to follow through on, like dancing on the beach. I wanted to dance more, and so I did. So I will say that working on them early was beneficial, and that's what I intend to do with this 3rd week ahead. What else to share with you? This is fun. So one prompt that Julia gives us in week 2 is to follow through on like a small goal, such as buying a roll of film and shooting it. And I'm really excited about this. I ordered a vintage 90s film camera and some film, and I'm super excited to start documenting my life through film and through photo again, but something about film feeling nostalgic and uneditable, which I'm gaining more and more appreciation for. So I'm really excited to dive into that. Another prompt in here was to list some of the imaginary lives that I mentioned last week in my recap video, and to think about ways that I can incorporate that life into this one, such as my imaginary life as an actress. Well, in what ways can I incorporate that into my current life? And I wrote down here to act as if I'm already the version of me that is ready to share my voice, that is ready to be vulnerable, that is ready to perform in front of an audience and share my passion for singing, my words and my story through music. Why not act as if? Why don't I just act as if I am the version of me that really doesn't give a flying about whether or not the world likes my music, right? Or thinks that I have a leg to stand on when it comes to my opinions and when it comes to wisdom and sharing what I know, sharing the lessons that I've learned. So act as if I don't care. Act as if those people don't matter. And oddly enough, it feels as though all of those things are true. So that's how I can incorporate acting into my life. Fake it till you make it. I don't really like the term because there's not necessarily anything fake about it. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to be the version of you that you're envisioning. So it's about getting out of the way. It's not about putting on necessarily a performance, right? It's just kind of allowing yourself to perform in the way that feels aligned with the version of you that you're excited to become, or the freest version of you, right? So that's one life that I can incorporate into the everyday by acting as if. Another life that I'd listed was a therapist. How can I be more of a therapist in my day-to-day life? To be honest, I'm already one quite a bit with my friends. So, so there's that. But I think sharing what I go through, being my own therapist through content and just kind of sharing that, who's to say that that's not therapy? So by asking myself the right questions, that's really essentially the role of a therapist, is to ask the right questions to that, so that I can come to those conclusions, the conclusions that I find to be true. Another life that I have here is teacher. In what ways can I be a teacher in my day-to-day life, this current life of mine? And I'd say just by doing what I'm doing now, sharing the growth that I'm going through, sharing what I know, and hopefully by sharing my recovery journey with the world. And that's really just my personal growth journey. So sharing that with the world and teaching what I know and what I've learned. And so what I'm teaching you now is that boundaries are essential. Boundaries are not limitations, but they are in fact freedom. By establishing boundaries, we give ourselves freedom to say yes to the things that we really want to be doing. When you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And when you say yes to something, you got to think about what you're saying no to. So as I accept these invitations, I'm asking myself the question, all right, by saying yes to this thing that I'm just kind of dreading, what am I saying no to? Well, I'm either saying no to some quiet time with myself, or to a spontaneous invitation that might arise, or to working on my craft and my work and the gift that I so passionately and lovingly want to give to the world, which is the gift of my music. So that's a lesson. There you go, from Miss Gwen Lilly. Another intention that I listed here is that I'd like to share my poetry more. I'd like to beautifully share my poetry. So I have that on here, and that is a goal, because not only do I make music, but I also write a lot of poetry. And I've yet to share that poetry with the world, and that's even lower lift. It doesn't require production, and it's not as much of a process as creating music. So that's definitely an intention I look forward to following through on. So that is week 2 of Living the Artist's Way. A goal that I have for week 3 is to go on a walk with my mama, to dance a little more at home. We set that intention last week, but we definitely want more of that. And to use my film camera this week when it arrives. I'm so excited to share with you some of those photos and some of the B-roll from my artist date, which I didn't tell you about. Okay, lastly, my artist date was a solo drive from Malibu down PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, down to Venice. And if you don't know that drive, it is one of the most beautiful drives in the entire world. All of PCH, Pacific Coast Highway up California, is incredible, but that part is particularly beautiful. Driving down that highway with my windows down, with one of my favorite bands playing, and just enjoying the view was a magical moment, just all for myself to be fully present. And so that was really the highlight of my date, despite passing all of the wreckage from the fires, all the ruins from the 2025 Palisades fires, all still there, but it was still so beautiful. So much beauty remains. So that drive, and then I drove into Venice Beach, and I wrote in my journal at American Beauty, which is a really cool spot on Rose Avenue with cool vibes. And then I went to the beach and just grounded in the sand and reflected. And that was my artist date, and it was magical. And what I got from that artist date was just the importance of allowing myself to be present, that I don't always need to be moving forward and being productive. Don't always need to be sitting, planning, and plotting what I need to do next. I don't always need to be bettering myself with a podcast. I don't always need to be learning, and that I can just be there. So much of the human experience has now become about doing, when we are in fact, of course, human beings. And it's about being, allowing yourself to be. But when you balance the doing, right? When we say doing, balance the creating with the being, what's possible? And that's my intention, is to really, really find that balance between saying yes to life and saying no to distraction, right? And then building on the tip of that pyramid art that comes from a life well lived. That's my intention. So thank you for being here for part of this process and this journey. I'm so excited to have you here and so excited to improve with the doing. I hope you enjoy my elevated camera experience and sound audio experience. And I look forward to seeing you next week for week 3 of Living the Artist Way.